Freedom Worldwide Podcast. All right, welcome everybody. Episode 2 of Freedom Worldwide. Well, actually, I'm going to change. We're going to do a rebranding. I'm going to change it to from Freedom Worldwide Podcast to Freedom Worldwide Media, because we like to go out in the street sometimes and interact with people, or if we don't have enough guests that are wanting to come on the show, like today, we have a guest who was sick yesterday, and we're rescheduling him tomorrow night. It's going to be exciting, hopefully, if he still decides to come on. He's a AI. He has a master's in AI, artificial intelligence, and he has his own robotics company. So I think that will be very interesting to talk with him, especially now with all the advancements in technology and AI and how it's affecting people and taking people's jobs, and just get an idea and talk to him and try to understand kind of what the possibilities are, what the possible risks or consequences could be, negative consequences. Sorry, we're still waiting to get this camera fixed. This camera has been glitching since day one. I got a refund for it, but I haven't changed it out yet. So hopefully Nick Hill is his name. Nick Hill. I don't know his last name. We're gonna have to get it whenever he gets on the show, if he comes on tomorrow once he feels better. But it should be I reckon a good episode tomorrow. But in the meantime, I just felt like I wanted to get some podcast practice. It takes practice because I had to set up all the audio, visual, and everything. Obviously, this camera's glitching. We'll get it fixed. But it's quite, I have to take it apart, the audio and visual setup, because I make music as well. So I have to take it apart and set up my music setup if I want to record anything. And then whenever it's time to want to do a podcast, I have to rework all the cables and reset up all the outputs and inputs. The outputs and inputs on the system, on the computer system. And it's not that difficult, but I don't specialize in tech, so I just kind of taught myself, and occasionally I go on YouTube if I really struggle. But yeah, the hardest part is just getting it all set up. The easy part is just to sit here and talk and look like an idiot. But yeah, so I wanted to come on and just get a bit of solo practice in. And I was thinking maybe let's just read through Google News today. Just out of, why not? Let's see what's, I'll just do it on my phone. We'll just pull up Google News and let's see what's in the news today. And then I'll just do my little analysis, find out my take on it. Also, we have to call my mother-in-law in Spain. It's her birthday today. So I'm going to call her live. Oh, we're going to learn the chords of Happy Birthday. And then I'm going to sing it in Spanish to her live on the show in Spanish on guitar after I just kind of learned it really quick. I think it'll be pretty funny to see her reaction. So singing a happy birthday song on a video call to my Spanish mother-in-law on a podcast. It's going to be trippy, to say the least. Should be a good show. But first, let's just get into Google News. I always just go, I used to read Google News all the time, especially when I was in the stock market. I was like reading Google News like it was my job. And I was going and reading other, I mean, not that there's that much stock news in Google, but kind of the big headline news is there most of the time. But then once I got out of the stock market, I completely kind of just stopped caring about the news that much. I just kind of look at it occasionally for my own just entertainment, I guess you could say. Well, you know, it's entertainment up until it comes to your doorstep. Let's just put it that way. So, yeah, like I shouldn't say it's entertaining because that sounds like there's no empathy there or no sympathy. But then when you think about, oh, there's actually people that are in charge of things that are making these decisions that I'm reading about, and like seeing how many people it's affecting negatively, then it's kind of funny. It's just like, who the fuck is putting these people in charge to fuck things up like this? It's just like, who's doing that? And so when I say entertainment value, obviously it's not funny when you see people dying in other countries, or even when you see cultures being taken over by other cultures, which is a lot of people are angry about currently, or that the perception of that happening. People are upset about that. And you kind of try to sympathize, like you identify with some cultures that you grew up with, and you're kind of like, yeah, like you want that culture to have its place in the world, and not just get completely taken over, forgotten, or destroyed. And they really use the media to kind of tap into that tribal instinct of like not wanting your your culture and your people's way of life being taken over by somebody else's. And it's a real thing. It is a real thing. Some people, for whatever reason, different countries developed with different values, different countries developed with different cultures, different countries developed with different levels of empathy, I would say, even. And it's arguable that, I'm not saying, like, maybe you could even say recent, in the most recent, I think Western countries have a lot of empathy, but they're almost overcompensating for their lack of empathy during the colonial period. So they're trying to like go the whole other way and say, no, look how empathetic we are. But it does seem to be inviting a lot of possible problems for them, because at the end of the day, life is competitive. That's what people forget. Life just is like a competition. I have seagulls, not to use the analogy, but there's seagulls that come into this town every season, and you just see, like, they all kind of come here. They're all happy. They're all like, oh, we're back. They're all mating and stuff. They all lay eggs. And then, like, half of the chicks don't make it. Half the chicks you see, like, completely, like, run over in the street. And then half of them fall off the roof, and they can't get back up. And their mother can try to, like, feed them for a while and hope that they get enough strength to fly back up or fly to safety. But yeah, I mean, and you start seeing, like, oh, the animal kingdom is very competitive. It's super competitive. And then you start applying, if you just remember, oh, wait, humans are animals. That's what the government always tries to make you forget. It tries to make you forget that you're an animal. It really tries to separate us from nature and separate us from our animal instincts, which is good in some ways. You can't just go around like an animal will just kill another animal without thinking about it. And that's great. You don't want to have to, like, you don't want to kill somebody, right? I don't want to kill anybody, and I hope nobody wants to kill me. And so that's like a good aspect of our animal instinct that's been trained out of us. But then they want you to forget your natural instinct to compete as well. And that would not necessarily be a bad thing. But at the end of the day, if you just look around, nobody's willing, like, if some people are willing not to compete, there's going to be someone else to take advantage of their unwillingness to compete. So you have like, if you just look around in the world, you have people that have always taken advantage. It's not necessarily a race or a religion or whatever, but there are just types of people that take advantage whenever other people don't compete. And, you know, that's kind of what it feels like is happening in the world in some ways. Um, they've kind of, it seems like they've really tried to get society and people separated from their animal instincts, separated from the idea of competition. That's great. Okay, let's all kind of not compete and fight with each other and not hurt each other. But then there's like a separate tier up here that's uh, a tier of, I guess, governance or leadership or private corporations or entities that are quite powerful, and they, because they control the capital and they control the legislation and the laws and regulations, they, as a entity and a corporation and a government, are competing against the people that are not competing. And so their ideas start becoming the dominant force in the world, which is what is happening, because we have just, our media is terrible, just pushing, like, my phone tries to radicalize me every single day. I look at my phone, it's just trying to make me hate. My phone is just trying to make me hate other people. Like, literally, it's like, why? I walk around the street, everyone's fine, like, hey man, what's up? Hey. But literally my phone is trying to make me hate other people. So, and I think it's doing the same to other people, trying to make them hate me, because you just walk around the street and it's like, I'm looking around and it's like everyone looks like they hate each other. It's like, why? Hey, what's up? Hi. It's so obvious that society's being engineered to make everybody hate each other. And then who's in charge of all this? Well, the people that are in control of the capital, people that are in control of the legislation. Like, why is this type of... And I'm not saying there should be free speech, don't get me wrong. But there's something going on with the algorithms, bro. Like, free speech is one thing, but algorithms, that's what actually should be talked about the most. It's like, they shouldn't be allowed to target people with just like hateful algorithms, because most people are just, they don't have the defenses, the mental defense mechanisms to cope with the amount of brainwashing and psyoping that's gone on since even since you're a little kid, really. You're just from a baby, everyone's telling you what to do all the time, and okay, now your parents love you, and that's great. That's probably the best times where your parents just give you unconditional love and you just on the mama's teat all day, getting free food, free rent, whatever. And then basically, like, the moment you start going to school, it's like, oh, the brainwashing starts, and it's like, oh, you had some black friends in the playground before you came to school? Well, guess what? Now we're going to teach you about racism, and we're going to try to make you hate your black friend by the time you finish school. We're going to try to make you and your black friend hate each other, okay? And then, yeah, that's what it's going to be. Like, we're going to teach you about racism so much, and like he said, they did this, they did that. They did this, they did that. We're going to go back and teach you everything that happened in the past, and things that and tell you like how it's afflicting you now. And we're going to make sure that you hate this black person and this black person hates you, just because of what happened in the past, not because of what's happening now. And yeah, it's sad. And it's not just that. It's generational too. We're going to make you hate what your parents are like. We're going to make you embarrassed of your parents. We're going to show you what's cool now. and it's definitely not what your parents are. It's like a cycle. It's a cyclical thing. Okay, now it's time. We have to just make sure that each generation is not matching up with what was cool when their parents were cool. So like, let's make the kids, make sure that most people have kids every 20 years or every 30 years. Basically, we need to change the fashion trend to completely make kids and parents like separate and hate each other. Let's break the family apart. Men and women, geez, that's another one. Like on my algorithm, just like, oh, woman, you know, like. Well, the thing is, they're not making you hate women. They're trying to show you like what's ideal to men, and they're trying to make you compare. So they'll show you, they make you hate with like racial stuff. They'll just psyop you with like racial stuff and make you hate other races or other generations. Oh, I hate them. But they won't do that with love. They're even more sinister with how they handle attacking your senses of love. So in sensuality and intimacy with your partner. So instead of trying to make you hate your wife, they try to make you envy, or like they show you idealistic images of other people, like porn, for instance, and they'll show you, oh, look what this guy's getting. This guy's uglier than you, and he's got like 5 chicks sucking his cock or something. And it's like, you're like, what? Why am I not getting that? And they like show you like these fucked up images of like, you know. And the thing is, yeah, and that's the thing is, for the average, like for most people, that's not attainable. And even for, I mean, I've never had like that good of an experience in my life, but that good, I don't know. Maybe it would just corrupt you, and you'd never, you know, nothing else would ever be good for you again. I don't know. But they definitely fuck your like sensitivity sexually. They hijack your sexual sensitivity, and they show you what, and you know, it's almost like you're looking like this at just, there's so much sex in society. Everything's sex. They're hypersexualizing the kids, everything. Hypersexualizing images online. You know, I can't even go watch like a football match without it showing me like some fucking pussy in my face. Like some like pop-up pussy out of my face. And it's like, have you tried? You need to fuck some local woman. And it's like, God, I just wanted to watch this football match. You know, or just like whatever. There's just always like subtle, even on YouTube, there's like, you'll just see something that looks like an ass, but it's not, or something like in the corner, like in the suggested videos. You'll be watching something like scientific or something to like educate yourself. And in the side, you'll see something that just looks like a massive ass. And you click on it and it's actually like something else. It's like you know, I don't know, like 2 pieces of like a wood or something that just look like that. But they're always trying to get your mind off of anything that's not necessarily, I mean, they'll let you be productive if it's for your job and to just like go to work and do your one singular thing that they're like, you need to go do your job. We'll let you be, you're not allowed to look at porn whenever you're doing work. Okay. But every other fucking waking hour of your day, you need to have Instagram. You need to have all this shit in your face showing you like just making you not think about anything but sex. and then also trying to not just anything but sex, but also trying to take away the sexual attention from your partner who deserves your sexual attention because you guys love each other and you chose each other. So it's very sinister what's going on. And it's like just a total hijacking of society. And it's, you know, and it's like they're playing good cop, bad cop so that, you know, between the governments and the corporations, it's like the governments have the rules that are kind of quite firm, the laws, and then the corporations are like executing a bunch of other weird stuff on society. And they're like breaking the laws all the time. That's the thing. Like if you're a good lawyer, you realize like there's so many lawsuits going on that potential lawsuit. Everything's a potential lawsuit, really, what's going on in society. But you have to point it out. You have to say, hey, this is not correct. Like, why is this happening? Why is this happening? And you have to apply the laws, or else the government won't recognize it. Like, it's almost like when you in athletics or running track, like, there's no law for they have like chemists that just add like an extra molecule to a steroid or something, and then a runner takes that, and there's no law yet for it, and so this runner's juiced out of his fucking mind, beating everybody just because he's got an extra like carbon molecule on a steroid. And they just name it something else. And that's kind of what, if you apply that to what's happening in the world, like, yeah, all the private, like really kind of sinister private entities that are just profiting like crazy off of human energy and human resources, power, and human capital, they're all, they just kind of exist and kind of in between the laws, and they make sure that their actions are very difficult to pinpoint, or they make it so it's very hard to kind of capture evidence. That's the key. You got to capture evidence and say, hey, this is what happened, this is what's going on, and then show that, and then prove that they did something wrong. So that's the thing. I mean, the world is really set up for evil to prosper, because the laws might be there, but it's in order to react to evil, I guess you just go out and do good things. You have to counter, maybe just try to drive out the evil with doing good acts. That might be the way to triumph. Reacting is also, trying to react and fight against the evil is, that's quite difficult. It's like you have to capture the evidence, prove that they've been doing something evil, and it takes a long time, and the courts are like, we don't understand. Like, I'm in a court case right now, and it's like so obvious. I have the evidence in there, and the court's just like, oh no, like, they're taking so long. It's so obvious. It's like black and white, the case. It's like, here's the evidence. This is what happened. And they're like pretending it's like rocket science and like, oh, we need to figure it all out. It's just like, come on. Like, it's so obvious what happened here. Here's the evidence. Like, a reasonable person can just see that this was wrong. I've been discriminated against. They committed fraud against me. Like, just make your decision already. But it's for some reason the system. That's the thing. They don't want people breaking through. They don't want people. I hate to quote Andrew Tate but they don't want people breaking the matrix. The matrix is quite fragile, and it's true that humanity needs to advance. But what would happen to society if everyone just woke up all at once, and just broke the shackles of, this kind of like evil force that's taken over the world? It would be very, I don't know. I just don't know if that's, I don't think it's even possible. Maybe. Is it possible? I don't know. And if it was possible, and everybody woke up and realized how to love themselves and love other people and love life, what does a world like that look like, where people are not hurting other people? People are not actively trying to harm other people or steal from other people, or, like, we're obviously so far away from that. You just walk down the street, and you can just see, like, we're far away from that. And you could argue that the system has tried to Well, I don't know. I don't know. I mean, you don't know what happened in history, really. You wonder, like, if I arrived on the shores of Africa during the colonial period times, I just wish I could arrive on those shores and see what those people were like, and figure out. Obviously, uh, white people did commit like a quite um, heinous crimes against Africans. Like they were in if all the history is true, which it must be to some extent. It's terrible what happened, but it's like, why did that happen? Was it just pure greed? Did they just show up and they're just like, fuck these people, we want the gold, fuck you, we're gonna come in hot? Like, is that what happened? Because if it was, it's like, shit, fuck. And then those people are probably to blame for society's woes. And the thing is, those people are just, I mean, I'm just using that as an example because that's one of the most recent examples we have of like humans oppressing other humans. But we also have even more recent examples of like supposedly the Israel and Palestine conflict. That's a war. I guess I don't know who's winning that war, who started it, but it's like obviously there's a war there, and people are oppressing other people. But there's like a massive the thing is, people have become so numb and used to the oppression of bad decisions from the top down. They've become so numb and so used to that they don't even think they're being oppressed anymore. That's the thing. And life, it is pretty good. Like, look, I'm here doing my podcast. I'm in my living room. Life's pretty easy. I don't have to work that much. But the thing is, like, most people are just mentally enslaved. Like, if you're smart enough to kind of, that's the thing. The system obviously still is too hard for a lot of people. But that's, it's a tough one, because it's like, you want to make the system easier. I guess the system should be easier, I guess. And then, but the thing is, what's happening now is, instead of making it easier to like correct the powerful entities at the top, instead of making it easier to correct those powerful entities at the top, what they're doing is they're actually trying to pit the people at, divide and conquer. They're trying to pit, oh no, it's not our fault that the laws are terrible, or that we can see plainly what's going on. This company is doing this, but we're not going to correct their actions. It's not our fault. It's your black neighbor. It's your old parents who aren't sharing in money. It's it's the gays, it's the LGBTQ community. They're getting too much power now and they're oppressing you. Like, or it's the white people oppressing you if you're black, or it's the heterosexual men that are oppressing you. Like, but I lost a bit of track there. But yeah, so they're basically, instead of making the system easier to correct, because there's a lot of smart people out there. You meet a lot of smart people, and people can tell when things aren't quite right. And there's a few really smart ones that can really kind of tell, like, hey, this isn't quite right. What's going on here? And it's funny how the system up at the top won't listen. They just won't listen. It's like there's some smart people who are like spelling it out for them. Like, hey, this is the thing that we don't like, or that people don't like. And I'm willing to like help you understand it. And yeah, they don't want to understand because it's not in their, somehow it's not beneficial to them. And it must come down to greed. Maybe it does come down to greed. I don't know, because or maybe just power. Maybe it's just power. I don't know. I'm trying to imagine what it would take. And obviously it's not just one person's decision. It's like everyone's all kind of tied in together. It's like an organization and everyone's in their place. And everyone's like, if I want to keep my place, I just have to do what I'm supposed to do. You know? So it must just be a top down thing. There has to, I mean, if there must be one person who is the most powerful person in the world somewhere. Like, who are you? Somebody has to have the most power in the world. There has to be a person like that in this physical world, you know, like exercising their, you know, financial will on the world and exercising their ideologies on the world. So there has to be, and then that person's definitely part of like an entity, you know. There's organization, and there's got to be some leader. Maybe there's a council, maybe there's 5 most powerful people in the world or something. But there's definitely like, it's got to be some people that are the most, it's not, I don't think it's as they want you to think it's so decentralized and like, oh no, this is all just happening naturally. All this media, everything, like all this really like well produced, highly produced, amazing media, like just being shoved in your face, and like these highly charismatic people that are pushing these messages, we're just gonna put that in your face as well, with all the best technology, and then all the best marketing skills and all the money in the world behind it, and that's just all decentralized, you know. That's just happening organically. There's not like a powerful interest of people that are like trying to just like playing Risk with the world. Like, it's harder to believe. If you're a reasonable person, you'd think like, maybe it is decentralized. Maybe it's just, maybe it's just one massive, maybe humanity is just one massive corporation. And that's what it probably is. I mean, you have to think of humanity as one massive corporation, and who's running this shit, and is it going in a good direction or not? You know, it's arguable that some things are going better, and it's arguable some things are going worse. So you can't totally hate on the hierarchy, but there's definitely some bad things that could just get a lot better a lot faster. You know, it's like, let's just fix this shit. Let's just fix all this negative media. Let's just fix all of this hateful content. Let's just go try trying to get people out of poverty and changing their mindset is difficult. But all this media that's being pushed is not helping somehow, you know, like just change the messaging, you know, like you need to change the messaging on the world to make it a more peaceful place. If you're just showing like scary images and scary videos, and those things might well be happening, but it's like they're being amplified times a million and being pushed on people. And then also like highly produced media is also using what happens and then making their own renditions of it and changing history or changing the course of events and then making it push a narrative even harder. So I'm just ranting. I'm just going for it. I'm going in. I'm going in. But it's just crazy. Some things just need to be fixed a lot faster. If anyone's listening at the top and you decide not to kill me, I'm available to give you some ideas, you know? Like if you need some reasonable ideas about what might work and stop, like what might help the world stop being so pissed off and fucking hating each other so bad, everybody hating each other and being so divided all the time. If you need some ideas, I'm here. I can offer some ideas, I reckon. Like, yeah, like basically the truth needs to come out about everything, and people just need to hear the truth, because like once everyone hears the truth about what, you know, where we're at and the situation we're at right now, especially financially, you know, people just need to hear the truth. Like, look, your money's not worth anything, but because you believe in it and like it holds value, and we have to kind of make you believe in this suspended system so that the money can keep its value, because if that falls apart, then the government can't exist anymore. And then, if the government doesn't exist anymore, then if somebody like, kills somebody, we don't have somebody to deal with it. And yeah, so they just need to explain to people like, this is why we have things. And they need to explain it more simply and more easily, I think. Like they could just kind of like condense everything. Like, look, this is all the history of what happened. We got to here. These are the most powerful people in the world right now, actually. And they're, they're the sphere of influence here. They're doing this. They're doing that. This is the reason why they're doing it. They're doing it like this. I guess maybe the WEF already has done something like that. Is that what Agenda 2030 is? Maybe. I don't know. WEF's like, we're doing this. We're doing that. Here's the agenda. And everyone hates it. And it's like, well, we only could afford to meet once and make one agenda. We can't adjust it. Like, great reset. Here we go. Agenda 2030. It's like, what? We didn't even get a chance to like give you any feedback or anything. Like we can't give like a feedback or like a trial run or something. No, I was kidding, but kind of, not really. But anyway, sorry for that little rant. Don't know where that came from. That just kind of went on one. But let's get to the task at hand that we wanted to get to. We really wanted to get to reading Google News, right? So we're finally there. We're there now. Okay. Let's pull up the news. Google News. And this is probably going to be googlenews.uk just because I'm in the United Kingdom right now. And they always give me, I forget what I have to do, but I think I can put like Google News USA. Maybe it gives me the US feed. All right, let's just see. We'll go on the UK feed. Most of the time, the major stories are the same. There's like a few local ones that affect different places differently. All right. So the top story, UK to suspend some arms sales to Israel, Foreign Secretary announces. So it looks like the UK basically has identified that maybe something Israel is doing is not right. And the UK is basically saying, okay, we don't think that something about what you're doing isn't right. We're going to stop giving you weapons. So then that's basically them stating that like, okay, so the Israeli government is maybe doing something wrong. Yeah, not to say that I am like a massive fan of Islam, but like I am also not a fan of people just getting, I don't know exactly what's happening. Like all my friends are like pro-Israel and stuff, but I do think that people just shouldn't be getting murdered on both sides. Like that should be the main concern. Like, hey, how do we stop? Like Trump once said, I'm not a massive Trump fan anymore. Like I used to be maybe 5 years ago, but he did once say like, I just want people to stop dying. It's like, he's right. Like why don't we just like, why do people have to just be getting killed? Who cares? Like, who cares about like your ancient book and like what happened 500 years ago? Like, let's just, you've got an iPhone now. If you don't have a girlfriend, you could fucking go on porn website and look at fucking million different women at the touch of your fingertips. Like, you can have a wank. You can go get some alcohol. I'm not an advocate of alcohol, but you can go get some other mind-altering substances and just like have fun. You can, you can pretty much do whatever you want. Maybe people are just bored. That's what I think it is. People are bored with everything that the world has is giving them. Like, they're people are so desensitized that they're just like they're bored now. They're just like, I have nothing else to do. I just want to hate something. I want to hate somebody. Who's the like? Oh, the news is telling me. Okay, I need to hate these people. Okay, that's interesting. Maybe I'll read that. I'll be interested in that news. I'll just hate these people for while they're telling me I should hate them, I guess. Uh, so, okay. The next story. AFD leaders demand inclusion in state coalition talks after election success. I think the AFD is the far right. Far right. I hate that term. Just because it's like, well, I hate when they accept. I hate when it's like they accept that label as being far right. You just be like, we're not far right. We're just, yeah, we're just kind of advocating for this set of values, but like they label it as far right and they demonize far right, far right. Oh my God, far right. So they like make it so terrible and everyone has to hate it. But I mean, like, yeah, some far right values, like there's obviously a limit. Like I would consider far right as like neo-Nazis, probably like people with like swastikas tattooed on their forehead or something. Like that's what I would probably consider a far right person. Or like an Aryan biker gang or Aryan prison gang or something. But like the average white dude that just like is paying his taxes and just you know, kind of just going about his day, and he kind of just he likes that he's white, and he likes other white people and black people, but he doesn't like hate other white people. He just kind of like wants his people similar to him to kind of be allowed to exist and have their own area where they can exist without being like intruded upon. Yeah, like I guess that's what's being labeled as far right nowadays, which a lot of people say, well, in the past, Britain went and intruded on other people's space and their homeland and their motherland. And yes, that's true. And they fucked up. They seem to have fucked up massively, like with these places. I don't know what they did, but they seem to have really, really fucked up a lot of these different places. And there's obviously like a generational trauma that these people have passed on to their kids that are like, you need to keep hating, or not hating, but you need to like, well, yeah, that's where all these laws and things are coming out. Kind of like they're not openly hateful. They're just kind of like, we need to limit white people. We need to put these limits on white people. We need to limit their advantages that they've earned from their ancestors who may or may not have been oppressive. I mean, I, for one, personally, like, my father came to America with nothing. My father came to America with $100 in his pocket in the 1980s, I want to say. And you can argue that in the 1980s, I'm sure definitely it was more racist, like it was a more racist environment than it is now. Probably less inclusive for sure. But they still had like, I know my dad like registered his business as it's in my mom's name, their partnership, but he gave her 51% and he gave him 49%. And it's like, because they had advantages for underrepresented groups being women. So like, he was just smart. He's like, well, like it's 50-50, but let's just make it 51% Gwen's, my wife. And then that way we'll get a few extra benefits here and there to help us out because it's a woman's company. And so, but they had those programs in place for women, for people of color, and that was in the 80s, I think. So like or maybe he re-registered it in the 90s as that. I'm not sure, but so like there were these programs already in the 80s, kind of to like address some of the wrongs of the past, that white people, got some advantages. But let me just, for the sake of my story, let's just say my dad came to America in the 80s with nothing. He had like $100 in his pocket. He was a poor white dude from South Africa. He was like the real Elon Musk. He was the first Elon Musk, basically. Uh, Elon Musk is just a knockoff of my dad. My dad just went to the wrong industry. That's all. Um, so my dad came to America with like $100 in his pocket, and he like started off working as like a ski lift electrician in Idaho, and then he kind of got into electrical side of things. He grew up in South Africa. They gave him, like, his dad and his brothers and stuff were always working on motorcycles and shit, and so they had like a mechanical type inclination. A lot of South Africans have like a mechanical inclination. If you even look at Elon Musk now, he's kind of like got a real mechanical type mind. My uncle is very mechanical minded, and my dad came over, and so he's just working different businesses, working for different people, and he kind of just got sick of all the rules and all the like working for someone else, and he wanted to have his own business because he was sick of just being, and also the limited. You realize, like, if I could just make 30% of, if I made 30% of what I make for this company, I would survive on my own business, basically. Like, all I have to do is just, I can sell 30%. I can sell 60 or 70% less than what I'm selling right now and have a successful business for myself. That was in the 1980s. But let's just say there's other people, like I have some friends who are African American whose parents have had successful businesses. Obviously, they were living in like affluent areas and they were doing well. So yeah, now that's where I think all these like wealth transfer and I think they're really they're trying to basically distribute the wealth better, and they have good intentions, like, let's distribute the wealth so everyone has equal rights and equal access to money, and that's kind of what the idea of communism is, I guess. But they're targeting the wrong people. Like, all the wealth is actually concentrated above small businesses. Like, guys like my dad, they just worked really hard. My dad works like 70 hours a week. And that guy just works his ass off, and he just works. That's all he knows how to do. And he just made money, rightfully so, because of that. Like, he just spent his time working, and, the reward for that is money. And so now, yeah, the people that should really get punished are people that are beneficiaries of that, I guess, like kids. Like, if I don't want to work, I shouldn't just get access to all my dad's wealth, I guess, that's probably not, I haven't. My dad has not given me any real help, except for when I go there on vacation. I get like a bedroom to sleep in for a couple weeks. I sleep at their house and I get some food, and I'll buy them dinner maybe every now and then. But besides that, since college, I haven't received any type of financial assistance really from my parents. Maybe there was one time when I was driving, and I was in Europe, and I was a dumbass. I was like 24 and I ran out of gas or something, and they gave me like a couple $100 to like get me out of a tight spot. But I'm living in a kind of what we would call a tenement apartment in Scotland. I'm living on the most ghetto ass street in Scotland right now because, like, that's what I can afford while trying to do other things I want to do with my life, like this podcast or music. So I'm like, well, where can I live where I can have a bit of time? I was like, let me go just live in this ghetto so I can have some spare time, but and that's the thing. I guess if my dad just And me living in this ghetto and living in this area and all the travels I've had and everything I've had to get to this point, I guess has given me experiences that will make me into my own man. And that's great. If he had just basically, you see these like pop stars that are like made from when they're like 11 years old or something, like Bieber, and it's just like, that kid didn't ever really suffer, like there is definitely an element to like, you need to suffer in some way. Like, okay, I'm not saying that you should suffer too much, and I don't think people should have to suffer too much, but that's where the most beautiful stories come from. The thing is, the people that suffer the most probably have the most beautiful story if they can come out the other side, and if they can somehow find the energy and resources to tell their story. That's the hardest part, because most people that suffer a lot, they just are so disenfranchised. They can't even get their shit together to like put something like this together, or they're just so in their own head and so afflicted that they can't even talk or do art. Like, yeah, I really feel sad for those people, but there's a lot of people out there like that who just don't have a voice and don't have anything that they can share, that they feel like they can share, because they've been so beaten down with fear of like what other people think, or, oh, I'm not good enough, or that's what. And going back to the government and corporations and all, it's almost like there's so much fear being pushed on society rather than love. I think it comes down to it. I don't want to simplify it and reduce it down, but like, imagine a society built on messaging of love rather than fear. Like, hey guys, look at these communities, these Muslim and Christian communities coming together and doing something loving and supporting each other. Or look at these African communities and these white communities coming together and doing something great. It's not happen. They're not showing that on the mainstream media, BBC, and those events are happening. That should be the biggest news. Like, hey, look, oh my God, these fucking people found out how to coexist. Wow. Like, that should be the fucking craziest news ever, but it's not. It's like, we're addicted to like, oh, let's see if we could just be a little bit more evil. How much more evil can we get as a human race towards each other? How much more can we oppress each other? That's what I want to watch. I don't want to watch the coming together and like, hey, we've overcome these massive differences. We've overcome like history. We've overcome generational trauma from our parents, and we are able to communicate on a level where we can get along and we can love each other as humans. And like, I love you for your suffering and for your pain, and yeah, and you respect and love me, and I respect and love you, and we just kind of coexist and find a way that we can do that. That would be amazing if we could do that. And that's the thing. The mainstream media in all countries should be really focused on that image, like trying to get showing people coexisting, like coexistence. And not because, hey, this group is giving charity and giving their money to this group, or this group. They shouldn't, like, it shouldn't have to be a financial transaction of like love. Like, oh, we're gonna give like millions of dollars to these people in California for reparations because their great grandparents suffered. Like, I don't think that's the answer. I don't know. I don't know how to. I shouldn't say I don't know, because there are better ways. Education, like from a young age, yes, you have to provide an economy where people can survive without having to do terrible things to their health and their family and their body. You know, that's the baseline of a good government. Let's just provide a system where people have enough to just at least to just be healthy, and they need to eliminate the companies that are threats to this. Like the fact that I walk in a grocery store and it's harder for me to find something that I want to eat than I don't want to eat. I mean, that's crazy. Like I have to go in a grocery store and I'm like fucking looking through food. I can, there's like maybe 10% of things in a grocery store I can eat that I would choose to eat after knowing. I mean, I don't even know if just what I've been told is like, oh, that's bad for you. That's not good for you. And I'm very selective with my diet, but maybe that's a detriment to me. You know, I tried to, like, I was reading, it's like, oh yeah, turmeric. You need to eat turmeric. That'll help you. I had some turmeric yesterday, I was like, oh, I feel like I'm going to die. Like, my liver hurts. I was like, is it normal to, like, feel worse after eating turmeric? And it's like, oh, it's possible that you have it's like ChatGPT is trying to, like, play down that it's telling the entire of humanity to eat this vegetable that might not even be good for you. Just like, yeah, eat turmeric. Yeah. Trust me, this is good for you. And I don't know. I mean, maybe it has some benefits, but also has some other things. But I mean, I don't look at India. They love turmeric in India. I don't look at India and think like their population is a beacon of health, and they love turmeric. So maybe I should be focusing on, but I don't know. Maybe I don't know anything about their society, but I also have looked into it. They say turmeric is, because turmeric, maybe it doesn't look as bright as people want it to. These like companies in Bangladesh are like adding lead chromate to the turmeric. Lead, basically, but it's like a bright orange. Lead chromate makes like a bright orange color or something. So they're basically adding a bunch of lead to your turmeric. Like, how terrible is that? It's like, oh, I'm supposed to have this ancient Ayurvedic root that's good for me. Just spray it with some lead. Psh, there you go. We know you all love it. There you go. Take it now. But sorry, I just keep going on tangents. All right. Let's what's the next news story? Tory councilor's wife pleads guilty over race riot tweet calling for attacks on asylum seekers. Jeez. Wow. Yeah, so she was saying like burn down the hotels, and that's the thing. I don't understand people that are so angry at the asylum seekers. It shouldn't be burn down the hotels. It should be if the government is actually failing the people by allowing too many asylum seekers into the country, and it's overwhelming things and it's making the situation bad for the people that currently live here. If that's the case, which I honestly have not experienced. I mean, yeah, prices have gone up. Like prices are going up. So yeah, it's like, well, it's because too many people are here and wanting limited resources, so the prices are going up. The price of my rent's going up. So yeah, I mean, if you do think about it, if you just flood a country, if you put a bunch of people, just on a basic economic level, I studied economics. If you put a bunch of extra people somewhere, and there's like limited, the same amount of resources are coming in and out of that country, and you just add a bunch of extra people, like 500,000 per year, I mean, yeah, shit's going to get more expensive, and it's going to, people aren't going to like that. So on a basic level, I guess you have to ask the question, is the government failing the people? And potentially, yes. Okay. Now, this person said burn down the hotels. Is that right? No. What what people should be directing their anger towards is the government somehow. Like, but I guess then the government has the police to repel them. The government's implementing police forces to like arrest people. So like, yeah, they've tried. I mean, the thing is, white people nowadays are so docile and so like don't want conflict and stuff. So it's really hard to get like all the white people out. Most people, white people are so their standard of living is they have to work so much just to support their own standard of living that they barely have enough time to even go outside and do anything else except just survive. And that's most people. That's not just white people. It's everybody. So yeah, when the government does something that people don't like, they don't have the energy to go out and protest. But that's where free speech should come in. And it's like, you can see, maybe I'm being radicalized by this crazy algorithm, which I think I am. Maybe like other people are just seeing like harmless stuff and I'm just getting pushed all these like crazy. No, it's not, because this is Google News. Google News is talking about this. So it's mainstream. So this woman, did she get arrested? Did she? Oh, she pleads guilty. So we don't know what's going to happen to her. But she pleads guilty. So yeah, but the thing is, her anger is just misguided. Like, it's like she's angry that her government's allowed this to happen, probably. Or that's where her anger should be directed. You know, I just always try to remember, it's like, well, this is, if I was a migrant, I would want the best for myself. I would probably try to come over here as an economic migrant, and I would probably do the same thing as what these economic migrants are doing. So, that are claiming asylum. You know, I sympathize with them in some ways, but the problem is that, okay, they have the entitlement to more economic rights by living here. Okay, maybe, but then if too many of people like this are getting over here and because of British empathy, and they're solely focused on the economic aspect of being here. They're not actually here because they would like to learn anything about the culture, or they're not really going to. What is British culture? I mean, British culture it's got its bad things, it's got its good things, but it's got a lot of rich heritage. And so these people are just coming here for economic rights, and they're not bringing any. They're not really willing to change their culture, their cultural perceptions, or their religious perceptions to kind of fit in. That's fine. You should have freedom of religion, freedom of speech on both sides. But at what point is it like, does Britain deserve to have some culture of its own? Like, at what should British people be allowed to be the majority in Britain? I mean, you know, you would think so. Like Nigerians are the majority in Nigeria. Venezuelans are the majority in Venezuela. You know, why are British people not allowed to be the majority in their own country? That's a good question to ask. And then it's inadvertently, maybe they're just letting people in from different cultures, and those people are reproducing faster than the British people. So maybe it's inadvertent, and they have very strong belief systems that do not waver. They don't waver for anything. Their belief system is very just like, they're not changing, And does that make them bad people? No. But is that going to inadvertently cause them to dominate this other population that's just kind of like polite and, hey, we're British, oh, sorry, mate, like British people are very polite for the most part and like afraid maybe their ancestors were cunts, fair enough, but it's like the average British person now is just like very harmless and very, just harmless and friendly and polite. And they're going to lose the cultural battle with other cultures that are coming from way more traditional backgrounds, because those are like way, their belief systems are just way firmer. The average British person just like, yeah, it doesn't matter. They're very agreeable. They're agreeable. These other cultures are not necessarily agreeable. It's like they're like, no, this is my belief system. It's got to be like this. And you also see that in the financial aspect as well. You see in the financial sector, like traditional people that are coming from traditional backgrounds are starting to do very well economically, because they have like quite, most of their, even though some of their beliefs, I'm not a judgment of other people's beliefs. I might prefer one culture to another culture. That's my preference. But what I can say is that these older belief systems, especially tied to religion, that's the thing. Modern Christianity is just kind of like, it's like consumerism, it's capitalism. Modern Christianity is very watered down from when you read the Bible. But modern Islam is still closer to its roots. So that's going to prevail because they're closer to these like core values that are written down. Whereas white people are just kind of, what's the word? They've gone away from it. There's a word I'm looking for, but I've forgotten it. But basically, white people, they're not as tied to these core belief systems. They're just way more dissociated or what's the word I'm looking for? Like spread out. Like, anyway, it's less uniform. Their belief system is going to be less uniform because white people are just, we believe there's people that are like, it's not so tied to like religion anymore. White people have been, whether that's been done on purpose or whether it's been done by choice, white people are way less, in average, there's way more atheists white people now than there was 50 years ago, for instance. And so when you have atheists, you have people that are, not to say, I'm not judging atheists, I'm not judging Christians, I'm not judging Muslims, I'm not judging Hindus, I'm not judging anybody. But when you have atheists, they're less tied to a core belief system. Then their beliefs can spread out, and they can, and there's less unity. There's less of like a common values that are bringing these people together. So white people have like a massive diaspora now of like belief systems, and it's putting people all over the place. And then if you look at, I guess, what most people are considering to be one of the main threats on society right now is like the Islamification of Britain, which is what all these people are complaining about in their own way. Maybe they're complaining about it incorrectly. But basically, yeah, Islam doesn't allow people to become atheist or become Christian or become something else. Islam is very good at keeping its core believers and keeping its believers intact and strong. And so it's a better religion in terms of fulfilling its goals, because people are sticking to it more, and it is becoming dominant. It is becoming the dominant religion on earth, Islam. And the thing is, Muslims will see that as like, oh, it's becoming dominant because it's good. This is God's will. And they'll see it as a good thing. And is that true or not? Possibly. I don't know. That's for a different conversation. But yeah, if it's not actually the best thing, if their God is not if their vision of what God is not the best, even though it's probably more or less the same, just like a few disagreements on some prophets and stuff. Like basically just like the same story, but like different perspectives. Oh, this guy wrote it this way, and this in Christianity they wrote it this way, and that's prevailing somehow. I don't know, and it's becoming dominant. And yeah, I mean, people are concerned about that just because people don't want to have to subscribe to a belief system that they don't really like, or they don't understand, or they don't want to become a part of. That's fair. And so nobody's forcing you, but if the government starts getting enough representation by these groups, then, and we're already seeing it, the government's shifting away from the native population. The government is shifting away from being accommodating to the native population, and it's shifting towards being more accommodating of the outside cultures that are not the native population. Then that's whenever the native population has some real problems. And I don't know if it's a tipping point soon. You have to start asking. You're starting to see a lot more representatives in the government that are like fully Muslim. And like I said, I'm not stating whether I think Islam is a bad religion or what's wrong with it. I don't know enough about it. It could be the religion of peace, as they say. I'm not a religious scholar, so I don't know. I grew up with some Christian values, but I've kind of strayed away from those, as we talked about before. I'm loosely bound by those, but I'm not like a devout Christian. So, you look at, if you just look at the representation in the government, it's starting to become more and more represented by Islam. And then, I don't even know if I want it or not, but I'm pretty sure I'm fine how I'm doing right now. Like, I don't think I need anything extra. Like, I think I'm fine. So shouldn't I just be allowed to not have to be affected by that? And government should be secular. It should be secular, but imagine if it will be secular until you get enough secular representatives from a certain group that vote for it to be non-secular. Then all of a sudden it's like, oh shit, we have Sharia law. Like, oh fuck, I'm getting stoned again. No pun intended. Stoned by rocks. Sorry, just to clarify. But anyway, so should we get back to reading the news? That lady obviously mistweeted. She should have chosen her words better. Okay, the next story. Man accused of recruiting strangers to rape his wife. Man accused of enlisting strangers to rape drugged wife goes on trial in France. Okay, I almost why is this story being pushed on society? Like, why are they pushing rape on society? And yeah, we can see it's terrible, it's atrocious, and it almost causes you like a physical reaction, like, ugh, like, why am I seeing this? Like, ugh, to imagine that situation is not very nice, and to imagine what happened there is terrible. So they're just pushing that on you. So far we have in the news, there's not going to sell any more guns to Israel. The far right is demanding inclusion in Germany. The far right, and my news is not catered to me. I'm signed in on an incognito account. Then we have a counselor's wife tweeted something about burning a hotel down. Then we have a man accused of recruiting strangers to rape his wife. Then we have Keir Starmer says scrapping one-word grades will not confuse parents. Okay, I have to read that. Three views on the end of Ofsted's single word ratings. I don't even know what that means. Sometimes in the UK, I don't even know what the fuck they're talking about. Uh, one word Ofsted ratings for schools to be scrapped immediately. Oh, so maybe they like the government like grades schools, I think, and they'll just be like, good, this school is good. Or this school is like bad, or this school is very good. And that's two words. Excellent. This school's excellent, good, medium, bad. So they're going to scrap, I think, like, so that's what their like education, like, we're not going to help the kids get smarter. We're going to, all this time and resources have been spent on trying to tell this government agency that they can't just say a school's good anymore. They have to like give a better description. Like, this school is quite good in some areas, but in other areas it needs more development. Basically, they're just to say, so now they worked all this time just to get a law passed where like this company basically say, can you just, they go on ChatGPT and they say, we've said this school is good. Can you just like elaborate on why this school's good? And ChatGPT will spit out an answer, and then they'll be like, okay, this is the new grading for this school. So all this time and energy and government resources have been put into, yeah. Hang on. Okay, so that basically they're going to stop grading kids. Oh, maybe I'm missing this. The reform paves the way for introduction of school report cards. Oh no, I'm right. Uh, I wish they'd give an example. Okay, so yeah, so like I was right. So basically, it's how they're grading the schools. I thought it was like how they're going to grade the students. They're not going to give students grades anymore. You didn't get an A or a B or like something. We're just going to describe what it is, what you are. You're not really A or B. You're good, but you could be better. Blah blah. You know, which wouldn't be that worst idea. But they spent all this money and this massive news headline story because they're trying to change the way that Ofsted, which is like a government regulatory body or something, they're not allowed to like categorize schools with one word. Like, they can't say this school's struggling. Okay, so that's a dumb fucking headline. Sorry, but it's like, who cares? Like, all we care about is like, how do we get the kids to be smarter? Not like, why do you care about how the word that the school's graded with? Seems like a waste of energy and resources. General strike paralyzes much of Israel after hostage deaths trigger protests. What the fuck? General strike paralyzes much of Israel after hostage deaths trigger protests. Okay, so it looks, God, some of these headlines, like, who's writing this shit? So there's been a strike in Israel after. Okay. After hostage deaths trigger protests. So so I think there were some Israeli hostages that got killed. And then there was like a protest, and now people aren't going to work in Israel. So it's like, yeah, it's like, okay, so that's the next thing we should know about. I mean, yeah, it's crazy what this is global. This is like the best news that we have in the world right now, I guess, for today. Kemi Badenoch launches Tory leadership bid. Okay, so now they're trying to make a African woman the leader of the Tories, which is like the conservative right leaning party in the UK. So they're trying to obviously get their right leaning reputation away from being white and trying to diversify that more. Okay. Tragedy as Northeast teenager dies after multi-vehicle A1 crash. And they're showing a picture of this like beautiful, like stunning, like 16-year-old girl. Sorry, I shouldn't, but like, yeah, very good looking girl. And she got killed in a multi-vehicle crash. Okay. That's terrible. Nothing that's made me feel good yet. Like, I mean, that's terrible. I'm not laughing at that or any of these stories. I'm not laughing at it, but it's like, where's the good news? Can we have some good news? Fuck's sake. Like, come on. Just slip one good news story in there, please. Come on. All right, let's see. Titanic's bow disappearing into the sea as startling new images reveal doomed ship's slow decay. Oh no. So now the Titanic is actually decaying under the sea. So we won't be able to send future submarines down there for billionaires to get fucking blown up in anymore because it's deteriorating too much. So we'll only have the old pictures of it under the sea now, not any new ones. Oh no. It's like, who fucking cares? But still bad news. That's bad news, isn't it? Like, it's not making me feel better. It's not like, oh, look at this great news. Titanic's. Oh, look, they're bringing Titanic up. The news should be like, they're gonna bring Titanic up and restore it, so that you can go fuck a bitch on it like Jack did with Rose. Like, that'd be good news. It's like, whoa, yay. Okay. Rupert Murdoch owns firm Raya Group weighs up bid for Rightmove. Okay. So Rupert Murdoch is trying to buy like a real estate online real estate company in the UK, I think. Okay. Not really good news or bad news. Like, look, this rich guy is getting richer. There you go. And you're still just as poor as you were and always has been. I don't feel better about that this guy's like acquiring another company. VW considers closing factories in Germany and cutting jobs. Okay, so that's not good news for those people. They're getting fired and they're going to close some factories. But on the bright side of that, it's like, well, they're not wasting any more resources on new cars anymore. Like, we have enough cars probably. Just fix the old ones. Thank you. All right. Hewlett Packard to pursue Mike Lynch's estate in $3 billion damages claim. Whoa. Oh, yeah. So there's a yacht that sunk off of the Italian coast. And I think the founder of HP, or some guy who is heavily involved with HP, Hewlett Packard is like a computer company or a printer company. He died. It's just kind of suspicious. Like how many boats just fucking sink with like a bunch of millionaires on it. And now the company, or billionaires. Now the company Hewlett Packard is pursuing Mike Lynch's estate for up to $4 billion. So they're gonna go after like all of his relatives and kids, or maybe his trust or something, to try and take all his money even when he's dead. It's like, even when you're dead, we're coming for you. We're gonna steal your $4 billion that you left for your kids, motherfucker. It's like, we're gonna get it. We're gonna get it. Even if we don't get it while you're alive, we're gonna get it when you dead, boy. It's like, all right, okay, let's wrap this up. It's getting kind of, we're at 1 hour and 23 minutes. Damn. Okay, Capcom's Resident Evil mobile ports now require internet connection to play. I don't play video games. Sounds like bad news for the gamers. They now require internet connections to play their games. Fuck. More bad news. Why can't you just make it so I can play my game without having to do extra shit? It's all, I'm not a gamer, but sounds like bad news. Black Myth. Wukong's biggest strength is not what you think it is. That just looks like, so is China's first blockbuster video game. So Wukong, Black Myth Wukong. I'm not a gamer, but it's obviously like China's first like major video game that they're releasing. And it looks like some like kind of hybrid Planet of the Apes type shit. Okay, next. That's good news, I guess. Maybe some Chinese video games will make everything better. It's like, we're sick of you, EA Sports. We're sick of you, Activision, Blizzard, whatever. Fuck off. We just want some Chinese shit now. Like, we're sick of your graphics. We're sick of your storylines. Maybe some Chinese video games will be a bit more interesting. We're sick of just the new fucking Call of Duty decals and maps. Can we just get something different? Let's see what China has. Okay, Harry Potter Quidditch Champions official cinematic trailer. I don't give a fuck. What? What the fuck? Like, that's, make your kids watch this like fake wizard cartoon that's like been regurgitated a million times, and it was popular like 20 years ago, and they're still just trying to milk every last little penny out of that franchise. It's like, come on. Okay, failure to warn Oasis fans of dynamic pricing may be consumer law breach, says experts. So there was like, dynamic pricing is like basically stock. They just made the tickets like the stock market. And they made it off of supply and demand. So like, the higher the supply went, the tickets would increase in price, like a stock or like a Bitcoin, you know? So it looks like, I think there were some tickets that were like $4 or $5 grand or some shit. Let me see. They're going to tell us. Oasis announced their like reunion tour. And yeah, let's see. Would-be concert goers said they had only minutes to decide whether to pay £355 for tickets on Ticketmaster. Oh my god, we only have minutes. Fuck, do I get the Oasis fucking ticket for $400 or not? Fuck. Like, I only have a minute to decide. Let's see. Ticketmaster may have breached consumer laws by failing to warn Oasis fans that the price of tickets might soar while they were queuing. Oh, this shit happens to me sometimes when I'm buying a plane ticket. You'll be like there, and you kind of maybe go get yourself like a sandwich or something, and you come back, and then you try to buy the ticket, and it's like, sorry, your ticket's more expensive now. Yeah, that's kind of bullshit. But I mean, I guess they're basically just making, they know it's going to make a shitload more money than just saying like, okay, everyone's ticket's $50. It's like, this ticket's going to be however much you're willing to pay for it. It's like, and then everyone's like, I want to see it. And yeah, it just becomes basically only rich people can see Oasis now ever again. Like, remember the good old days whenever you could just like pay $50 or max, maybe $20 to go see a band you liked? Now it's like, this might be our last tour. I fucking hate my brother. Okay, I'm gonna go on tour with this fuck. I can barely stand to be in a room with him for fucking 5 minutes, and we're gonna go on a little tour, and we really fucking don't want to do this, so we're gonna do one. And we know you liked our music 20 years ago. It was great, wasn't it? When we used to still like life, and we used to still, you know, we weren't totally beaten down by the system, and we weren't psyoped and just totally worn out. Anyway, you used to love our music, and we're doing this one time. So you can all start basically bidding on these tickets. Yeah, it looks like people were paying like $4 or $5 grand for tickets. All right, let's see. What's the max price someone paid? Tell me. God, this article is not. This article is really poorly written because I'm trying to just find the punchline. Like, tell me how much they had to pay in the end, but they're not really telling me. So if anybody wants to comment how much they had to pay for their Oasis ticket, that would be great, so we know. Okay, Harry Potter fan again. Harry Potter made the global daily news again. Harry Potter fans boo as Back to Hogwarts countdown at King's Cross ends in disappointment. I don't give a fuck. Why do I have to fucking read about Harry Potter twice in my daily global news? Surely there's something better that we could be learning about or pushing on society. Okay, crazy P front woman Daniel Moore dies. Okay, some age 52. So more people just dying at 52. You're gonna start living shorter, people. Look, all these people, they're dying young, and these are the celebrities that even maybe they had better access to healthcare or access to higher standards of living. They're all dying at 50. So you should get used to that because you're gonna die that old too. More bad news. Inside Adele's low key career breaks where she go inside Adele's low-key career breaks where she goes back to real life as the singer reveals she won't be C. Okay, I just don't care. Adele, she's not a bad singer, but it's just like I don't know. Just I don't care. Nowhere left to hide at Man United for man without a plan. Ten Hag. Okay, I do watch a bit of football, and it's like so obvious you guys should have fired Ten Hag at the beginning of the summer and gotten a new coach. But I'm pretty sure all the football's rigged anyway, and it's all just rigged for the bookies, so I don't give a fuck anymore about football. Okay. 8 things we learned from the 2024 Italian Grand Prix. I don't care. Casemiro, I have friends that like Grand Prix. I just never could get... I watched some cool Grand Prix YouTube videos, but I just can't follow the tour. I don't know why. I just can't. It's probably rigged too. Sorry, pretty much all sports are rigged for sure. Casemiro's wife hits back at critics of Manchester United star with trophy post on Instagram. So Casemiro, after I guess getting beat like 3-0 by Liverpool, took a picture of his trophy cabinet. It's like, okay, my team sucks now, and we just got our asses kicked 3-0, and I'm probably on my way out in my career. But check out my old trophy cabinet, bitch. Like, that's basically what happened there. Max Verstappen makes crucial RB20 discovery with main problem now identified. I don't know. That's Formula One. I don't follow that. Okay, science. NASA astronauts report strange noise from Boeing Starliner spacecraft. Well, it's a Boeing. What do you expect? It's like they're like basically just hiring whoever they think is the nicest. They're doing a massive diverse, or I don't know what they're planning, but apparently the standards at Boeing have dropped. I don't know why. I don't want to get into that, but I've seen a lot of posts saying like the best engineers might not be getting selected anymore because they don't identify as a certain like race or gender or sexual orientation, or I don't know. But I'm not saying I know that's what's happening, but I've seen some psyoped tweets that are trying to brainwash me into being hateful against other races have showed me that Boeing may not be hiring the best candidates anymore, just to clarify and explain everything. Saturn at opposition. How to see the ring planet as its biggest and brightest this week. I don't care. I've seen Saturn in a telescope. It actually was impressive to see Saturn in a telescope in the countryside where there's no light pollution. Very impressive. I recommend it. It was quite cool. Scientists find seismic role in formation of large gold nuggets. How do gold nuggets form? Okay, so they're finding out how the gold nuggets form under the earth. Go what? If you're interested. I mean, that's not bad news. I do give them credit. That's not bad news. The only part of the news that isn't depressing and totally sad is the science section. Okay, so top doctors warning that diet craze could lead to heart issues. Okay, well that's not true. The science and health, more bad news. RSV vaccine, all you need to know about vital news. Oh, in the health section, literally every day in the news, there's always like, you should be taking this vaccine or that vaccine. It's like every day there's a different vaccine that they're basically like, you should be taking, which is crazy. It's like, just go fucking for a jog and eat some eggs or something, some fried eggs. Mysterious donut structure discovered hidden inside Earth's core. Donuts. And it could unlock the secrets of... Okay, so that's interesting. Vast donut discovered in molten metal of Earth's core. Okay, so it's like a donut magnetic field or something. Anyway, okay, well that's the news then. So as we were talking about before, like the news is pretty depressing, and it's pretty just like, who's obviously the people that are in charge of the messaging are not doing a very good job. I think instead of focusing your anger at other people around you or other races or sexes or genders, sexual orientations, like basically I would focus on the messengers because I honestly don't have any problems with people around me. Um, only when the only time I think I have a problem is when I'm being told I have a problem by people who are messaging me through my phone or through the media or, you know, through organizations discriminating against me for a job position. But, you know, like, yeah, other than that, like, I think it'd be, the news. Basically, the messengers are not being very good influence on society right now. Who's in charge of the messaging? Hey, guys, in charge of the messaging, maybe improve the messages. Okay, anyway, guys, I'm going to wrap this up. I'm just going to quickly learn how to sing happy birthday in Spanish. And I'm going to call my uh, mother-in-law. And then I'm going to sing her happy birthday in Spanish. So let's just look up the Spanish chords. Happy birthday chords. Now I have to find this phone number of my mother-in-law. Okay. We're calling. It's calling. Oh no. She's not going to answer. Literally, I just practiced the song. I practiced the guitar. I embarrassed myself not knowing how to play guitar properly, and now she's not going to answer. Cumpleaños feliz, cumpleaños feliz, cumpleaños feliz, please. Te deseamos, Carmen, cumpleaños feliz. All right, let's play it for ourselves because she didn't answer. How anticlimactic. I learned the whole song and everything. I learned the Spanish, I learned the chords, and she didn't even pick up. Cumpleaños feliz, cumpleaños feliz, te deseamos, Carmen, cumpleaños feliz. Oh my god, this guitar is probably so out of tune, or I'm just out of tune, but anyway, we tried our best. Okay, well, I'm going to call it wraps on this podcast. I think it's kind of gone long enough. Anybody who's made it this far, but thanks for tuning in, listening. Hope you had fun, and yeah, let's hopefully see you tomorrow. We're gonna have Nick Hill on the show, hopefully, who's has a master's in AI and has his own robotics company. So maybe see you tomorrow if you tune in. Thanks, guys. Okay, what do I have to do now? Oh, I gotta push stop. All right, sorry guys, I'm still getting used to the whole podcast thing. Give me one